Dear sisters, I'm glad to be with you to celebrate this Eucharist, as I said, and reflect on the Gospel as you continue to discern during this chapter. I'm given to know that the theme of the chapter is Women of the Word, Loving Without Measure. When I read this theme, I personally like this theme because it beautifully captures and celebrates the twin dimensions of your life and mission. Firstly, the spirituality of the Word, women of the Word. And secondly, the second dimension is the mission dimension, active mission engagement, loving without measure. And I believe that both these dimensions are so well balanced that if you leave one or the other, our life would be also imbalanced. Imagine you have a spirituality, deep spirituality of the Word, but you do not have the active mission engagement. I'm sure that would be kind of a blindness, as we would see in today's Gospel. Imagine you have very active mission engagement, but you don't have a very deep spirituality rooted in the Word, and it would be kind of a hypocrisy, as the Gospel would tell us today. And therefore, this particular theme, it defines who you are, being in the Word, rooted in the Word, and becoming what you are in the world. And the Gospel reading of the day offers some insights into living out this theme. Today's Gospel reading is in fact a long criticism by Jesus against the scribes and the Pharisees, who have been opposing him and his teaching right from the beginning, his kingdom ministry. And the chapter, the reading of the day, contains 2 woes out of the 7 in chapter 23. And the very strong verse that Jesus used, alas for you, or woe to you, in fact implies Jesus' discontentment with those who are in the religious authority. And therefore this particular reading actually highlights or outlines 3 challenges for us, those who are here, because most of you are either superiors or in leadership roles as the provincial superiors or maybe superiors of the communities. And therefore, the first challenge the reading gives us, offers us, is the challenge of leadership. Challenge of leadership. Let me begin with something that Jesus, with regard to the leaders of his day, unmasks their hypocrisy. I see that all of us are practically here with the mask. In fact, we were not created with the mask. All of us were created with beautiful faces. We recognize each other because of the beautiful faces that we have known or lived with. In fact, I walked into this house this morning and I met few sisters whom I knew from India, and immediately it was very difficult to recognize because they were with masks. So then I had to lower my mask to reveal my identity, right? So masks are not something very natural, they are artificial. Of course, given today's context, they are very essential for our good health. And Jesus uses 2 words with regard to the leaders of his day. The first word we heard, hypocrite, and the second one, blind guide. Now, who is a hypocrite? In Greek, hypocrites means one who puts on mask or one who pretends with a false face on the stage in order to act. And therefore, Jesus tells the leaders of his time that you are pretending. You are putting on a false face. And secondly, he tells them, you are blind guides. Because you are misleading the people, not towards the kingdom of God, but you are directing them to a religious sacrificial cult devoid of God and God experience. Perhaps Jesus is using these two words today. Perhaps blindness is used metaphorically for the leaders of his time. Blind guides, blindness. So sometimes, dear sisters, we may be somatically, we may be able to see, but we can be cognitively blind. Somatically, physically, we will be able to see, but cognitively we can be blind. And this is what Jesus emphasizes. The leaders of his time were able to see physically, but cognitively they were blind because being teachers of the law, they were supposed to transmit the right teaching, right knowledge to people, and then they failed. And therefore, as the leader is the one who directs people in a right way to God. And I would like to give an example of a sister, Canossian sister, who I felt was a wonderful leader, whom I have seen and I lived with. And therefore, when I came here, I asked about a sister called Sister Olive in Bombay. She's the first Canossian nun I met as a brother, as a scholastic, in the year 2005, when I was, people did not know me as a brother. I was doing my so-called exposure program during the so-called floods in Bombay in 2005. And I, along with another companion, used to live in a rented room because we were not supposed to reveal our identity as brothers. And we were living in a rented room and were doing social work. And that place where we lived and worked, Sister Olive would come, especially for the building of the Christian community, attending the meetings once a month. But I found that beyond that one meeting, she would frequently visit the families and would know what would happen in their families. She would encourage us brothers to participate in the meeting. She had influence not only within the Christian community, but also people of other faiths. Simple, holy, wonderful nuns I met. And therefore I knew whenever people had small issues in their family, they would not reach to their parish priest, but to that sister who would visit them and speak to them. There are two types of authority, sisters. There is an institutional authority, and secondly, there is a charismatic authority. Institutional authority comes because of the chair, because of the election. Someone is elected a general, provincial, superior. It's an institutional authority every 3 years or 6 years. Charismatic leaders, the charismatic authority comes from within. It is gifted by God. You can be a leader without the office. Jesus was a charismatic leader. He didn't have a lineage of being coming from the chief priest or the high priest family. Yet, people listened to him because he was a rabbi, and he would demonstrate his charism as a leader. And I believe that Sister Olive was that charismatic leader. It didn't matter to her whether she was a superior or someone, or say she had a big role in the parish, but in that community, she would build human communities between people. And for me, that's one kind of influence that I had from this sister. The second challenge, dear sister, today's reading offers us is the challenge of coherence. That is basically the religious leaders' lack of coherence between words and actions, and the interior and the exterior disposition. The religious leaders of Jesus' time emphasized on the letter of the law, and Jesus emphasized on the spirit of the law. Jesus relativized the laws in order to give emphasis to human beings, whereas the leaders relativized fellow human beings for the sake of the laws. And therefore, it is something I found in your theme as well, whether you're reconfiguring your life to the holiness, or between being women of the word as well as loving without measure. There's a kind of a coherence between your words or your actions, your interior and your exterior disposition. And therefore, in today's reading, Jesus reminds us, you clean only outside, but you remain dirty inside. And therefore this outside and interior, inside dichotomy is at the heart of our religious life. And therefore, today's reading invites us to know or to ask, what more can we do to make our words and actions, our interior and exterior disposition coherent and consistent, so that we may not lose the charismatic dimension of our consecrated life. The third and the final challenge, dear sisters, is the challenge of centrality. Where do we put our focus on? Jesus criticizes the religious leaders because their focus was on the law and not on the giver of the law. It is like you give a toy to a child, to a kid. Immediately when he receives, he's very happy. Perhaps sometimes they say thank you. Something similar to the Jewish religious leaders. They were so absorbed with the law, they forgot the giver of the law. And therefore, Jesus focuses in his teaching is the Father who is the giver of the gifts, who should be related to not the written law or the written word. And therefore, in your team, sisters, women of the word can have two meanings. It can mean the written word, which is there here in the book. Or secondly, the word can also mean the living word, Jesus. Sometimes we may know the word, knowledge, very good. It's a starting point. But the scriptures invite us beyond the written word to encounter the living word that is Jesus. So our life should not be merely limited to mere a book, to a holy book. That's why we as Christians, unlike other religions, we are not a religion of the book. We are a religion of the person of Jesus Christ. And therefore, you know the word well, but that word invites us. Word invites in our ministries to deepen that word into an encounter with the living person of Jesus. May you be women of the living word, whose hearts are set on fire like the disciples of Emmaus, where they heard from the law, from the prophets, and finally they encountered the risen Lord. I would like to conclude something with A, B, C, D, E of the religious leadership. As you continue with your general chapter, today my prayers for you is that may you be accompanying leaders than administrators. May you be the believing team workers rather than blaming individuals. B. May you be creative and charismatic disciples rather than conforming circles. C. May you be dialoguing prophetic women rather than disciplinary dictators. D. And finally, may you be empowering testimonies, sharing your unique personal mission stories rather than endorsing narratives of an institutional structure. Amen.